Andreas Nicholas Lauda, known to the world simply as Niki Lauda, was born on February 22, 1949, into one of Austria's most powerful financial dynasties. His grandfather, Hans Lauda, was a cold-eyed industrial tycoon who believed the Lauda name belonged behind a boardroom desk, not behind the wheel of a race car. But Niki was a system error in that prestigious family. While other children learned piano and horseback riding, Niki was obsessed with machines, engines, and speed. He would steal the keys to an old Volkswagen Beetle in the family garage and tear around the estate in the snow, feeling something come alive inside him that no amount of inherited wealth could touch. When Niki announced he was dropping out of university to race, his grandfather's response was cold and decisive. Hans Lauda quietly called in favors across Austria's banking world and personally blocked Niki from securing a loan. The door slammed in Niki's face. Rather than surrender, he walked to a rival bank, used the Lauda family name as collateral, the very name his grandfather wanted to protect, and took out a massive loan with brutal interest rates tied to a life insurance policy. He packed his bags, left the mansion, and never looked back. He had no safety net, no family support, and a debt that would destroy him if he failed. But he had something his grandfather could never take away, an iron will and a mind built for speed. The early 1970s were a grind. Niki raced in lower-tier teams with unreliable cars while the debt clock ticked over his head every morning. What set him apart wasn't raw talent. It was intelligence. He could feel exactly what a car was doing, diagnose problems with the precision of an engineer, and communicate adjustments that shaved tenths of a second off lap times. That rare ability caught the attention of the most powerful man in Formula One, Enzo Ferrari. When they met, Niki looked the legend in the eye and told him bluntly that his car was garbage but promised to fix it. Enzo could have thrown him out. Instead, he recognized the fire. By 1975, behind the wheel of the Ferrari 312T, Niki Lauda delivered the world championship, ending Ferrari's long title drought and silencing every critic who ever doubted him. Then came 1976 and Nürburgring. On August 1st, under a gray and rain-soaked German sky, Niki called an emergency drivers' meeting and pushed to cancel the race. The track was too dangerous. He lost the vote by one. He climbed into his Ferrari and drove straight into hell. On the second lap, a mechanical failure sent his car slamming into a steel barrier at over 120 miles per hour. The car bounced back into traffic and exploded in flames. His helmet was ripped off by the impact. His face was exposed to 1,472-degree fire. Toxic smoke flooded his lungs. He was conscious the entire time, fully aware that his skin was burning. Fellow drivers dove into the inferno with bare hands to pull him out. It took nearly a minute, an eternity in flames. At the hospital in Mannheim, doctors shook their heads. His lungs were destroyed. His blood was poisoned. His face was completely devastated. A priest came to his bedside and began reading last rites. Niki heard every word. He heard his young wife Marlene sobbing. He felt the resignation in the room. Everyone had already accepted his death. That resignation lit a rage inside him. He was furious. The race wasn't over. Using that fury as fuel, he began fighting back with the same cold calculation he applied on track. He cooperated with every treatment, forced himself to breathe deeply to clear the toxic smoke of his lungs, and endured agonizing skin grafts without painkillers because he needed mental clarity. He had one goal: get back in the cockpit. Just 42 days after being given last rites, Niki Lauda pulled a helmet over his still bandaged, still bleeding head and stepped into a Ferrari at Monza. The helmet pressed against raw wounds with every lap. He finished fourth. The entire world watched in disbelief. He didn't just return to racing. He became a living symbol of what the human will is capable of when pushed past every limit imaginable. His personal life carried that same intensity. His wife Marlene stayed by his side through the worst of his recovery, holding his bandaged hand when he hovered between life and death. Years later, after their marriage ended, fate gave him one more extraordinary gift. In 2004, he met Birgit Wetzinger, a flight attendant 30 years his junior. Skeptics assumed it was shallow. Then in 2005, his transplanted kidney began to fail. Birgit, after only 8 months together, quietly got tested, discovered she was a match, and offered him her kidney. Niki refused. She insisted, telling him she wasn't doing it for the legend. She was doing it for the man she loved. The surgery saved his life. They married in 2008 and had twins together. A part of her body kept him alive. That is not a love story you manufacture. Beyond racing, Niki built a billion-dollar aviation empire. He founded Lauda Air in 1979, piloting the planes himself and applying Formula One safety standards to commercial aviation. He later built Niki and Lauda Motion, selling airlines to giants like Austrian Airlines and Ryanair, amassing an estimated fortune of $500 million. When Lauda Air Flight 004 crashed in Thailand in 1991, killing all 223 passengers, Niki flew to the crash site personally. He identified a thrust reverser malfunction, a manufacturing defect, and took on Boeing directly. When Boeing hesitated to accept responsibility, Niki issued a blunt ultimatum. He would personally fly a 767 full of Boeing's own pilots, deploy the reverser mid-flight, and see if they survived. Boeing accepted fault. His fight forced global safety reforms that have saved thousands of lives since. The red baseball cap he wore for decades wasn't just a fashion choice. It covered the burned scars and missing ear from Nürburgring. With typical pragmatism, Niki turned into the world's most expensive billboard, charging brands millions per year for the logo space on his own scarred forehead. He was the only man in history to profit from his own wounds. In 2012, Niki flew to Lewis Hamilton's hotel late one night and personally negotiated a transfer that brought Hamilton to Mercedes, a deal that launched one of the most dominant eras in Formula One history. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff has said that in the team's darkest moments, he still asks himself, what would Niki do? On May 20th, 2019, Niki Lauda passed away peacefully in Zurich, surrounded by his family. His lungs, damaged by toxic smoke 43 years earlier, and 2 transplanted kidneys had carried him as far as they could. He left behind 3 world championships, a safer sport, a rebuilt aviation industry, a family built on real love, and a standard of honesty and courage that the world of motorsport had never seen before and may never see again. He started as a rebel they tried to break. He ended as a phoenix nothing could extinguish.